Cyrus the Great is a legendary figure in ancient history, renowned for his conquests and for having established one of antiquity's greatest empires, the Achaemenid Persian Empire. His rise to power brought about the end of the Medes' control over the Persians, and also the fall of the Babylonian Empire. Cyrus's bloodline was tightly woven into Persian royalty. He was preceded as king by his father, Cambyses I, and his grandfather, Cyrus I, a line of Persian monarchs who made their mark on history. The Persian-controlled lands in Mesopotamia were not particularly suitable for agriculture. With their well-organized army, the Medes conquered these lands and controlled the region. The Persians, who were one of these peoples, came under the Medes' sway. They had to pay high taxes to them, meaning that part of their wealth went to the conquerors. This was a major change for the Persians, who had previously been free to rule their lands as they wished. But this was about to change when Cyrus followed his father and inherited the Persian throne. At this point, Astyages, the king of Medes, appointed his general, Harpagus, as commander of the Median army to attack Cyrus. The historian Herodotus reported that, instead of obeying the king, General Harpagus made contact with Cyrus, encouraging him to rebel and promising his support and that of the Median army. In 553 BC, Cyrus decided to rebel against the king to establish his own empire. His first conquest was in Ecbatana, the Median capital ruled by Astyages. This was documented in ancient sources, such as the Cylinders of Nabonidus and the Nabonidus Chronicle, which offer a glimpse of what happened at the time. According to the Cylinders of Nabonidus, in 553 BC, Cyrus, then king of Anshan, chose to challenge Astyages with a seemingly tiny army. The Median kingdom was divided, with part of its army and members of the nobility deserting to Cyrus's side. Astyages, shocked by his general's betrayal, watched his power collapse. The uprising led by Cyrus and supported by Harpagus did not take long to achieve success. The joint forces of Cyrus and the Median traders managed to defeat Astyages, trapping him and putting an end to his reign. Cyrus emerged as the new leader, establishing the Persian Empire and dawning a new era in the region. Once Astyages fell, Cyrus chose to spare the king's life and sealed an alliance by marrying his daughter, Amytis. This was a political move aimed at pacifying the peoples who were subordinate to Media, and Cyrus strengthened his position as leader of an empire that was on the rise. He adopted Astyages as his father and established himself as the new king of the Medes. It is widely believed that Cyrus took control of all the lands previously conquered by the Medes, which, according to Herodotus, included all of Asia except Assyria. During the peak of his campaigns between 546 and 539 BC, Cyrus the Great spread his empire even further, adding more lands to his control, as reported by Herodotus. With Astyages ousted from power, all his vassals, including Cyrus's close relatives, were now under his direct command. His uncle, Arsames, formerly king of the city-state of Parsa under Median rule, had to relinquish his throne, but the transition seems to have been uneventful. Arsames remained the nominal governor of Parsa, now under the authority of Cyrus. Hystapes, Arsames' son and Cyrus's cousin, was appointed satrap of Parthia and Phrygia. With that, Cyrus united the Achaemenid kingdoms of Parsa and Ansan under the Persian crown. Cyrus's other major conquest was Lydia, a prosperous kingdom in the Asia Minor region, ruled by the famous king Croesus. Lydia was known for its wealth and influence, which made it a target for Cyrus. Croesus was an ally and brother-in-law of the Median king Astyages, and promised to avenge his relative's downfall when he heard that Cyrus had deposed Astyages. This threat of revenge sparked a chain of events that culminated in an armed clash. The first major battle took place at Pteria, a city in Cappadocia. Cyrus's and Croesus's armies met, but the battle ended in a stalemate, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Croesus, having decided to return to Sardis for the winter, was followed by Cyrus. A second battle took place near Thymbra, where Cyrus made a breakthrough by using dromedaries to scatter the Lydian cavalry, forcing Croesus to retreat to his capital, Sardis. After a grueling 14-day siege, Sardis eventually fell to Cyrus's forces. Not only did his conquest of Lydia expand his empire, but it also set a precedent for his future military campaign, and thus, by the middle of the 6th century BC, Cyrus had probably captured the whole of Armenia. Of all of Cyrus's conquests, the most famous was the capture of Babylon in 539 BC. One of the most remarkable moments of this period is the resourceful way in which Cyrus and his men entered Babylon. Herodotus reports that, using a basin previously excavated by Queen Nitocris, the Persians diverted the Euphrates River into a canal, lowering the water level to the ideal height for them to cross it on foot. This allowed the invading forces to proceed directly along the riverbed, stunning the city at night. On October the 12th, 539 BC, Cyrus's army entered Babylon without encountering any resistance, detaining King Nabonidus. The city surrendered to Cyrus, who triumphantly stormed in on October the 29th, marking the end of the Babylonian reign and the start of a new era under Persian rule. This success marked the end of the Semitic rulers' domain in Mesopotamia and the Middle East, establishing the first world power of Aryan origin. With Babylon's fall under Persian rule, Cyrus added the title King of Babylon to his name, becoming a well-known figure not only among the Persians, but throughout the region. Upon inheriting the broad territories that had once belonged to the Babylonian Empire, he faced the challenge of efficiently unifying and governing these lands. However, it seems that the transition of power was relatively seamless, with reports indicating that Cyrus had no major problems pacifying the newly conquered regions. Once he had conquered Babylon, Cyrus the Great soon came into control of great wealth and power. The Mesopotamian river valleys supplied a stable base for agriculture, while the Mediterranean coast afforded valuable resources for trade and access to important trade routes. During his reign, the Persian Empire flourished and became a leading power in the region. To depict this great achievement, Cyrus commissioned the drawing up of a document that became known as the Cyrus Cylinder. It was written to be published in Babylon as an attempt to increase Cyrus's reputation and further demean the former king of Babylon, Nabonidus. In it, Cyrus is portrayed as a divinely appointed leader, ascribing his victory to Babylon's own god Marduk, who was reportedly disgruntled with Nabonidus and sent Cyrus to conquer the city. The Cyrus Cylinder, often considered a kind of charter of human rights, reveals how he acted to benefit his people. Moreover, Cyrus's rule was noted for its remarkable tolerance towards the conquered peoples. He made significant improvements to the lives of the Babylonian residents by returning to displaced peoples and restoring temples and worship sanctuaries. Cyrus also collaborated with the Jews by returning the Jerusalem temple items that Nebuchadnezzar had taken to Babylon 70 years earlier. The Cyrus Cylinder carries an inscription detailing these humanitarian policies of the Persian emperor. The inscription quotes Cyrus as saying, "I return to these sacred cities on the other side of the Tigris, the sanctuaries of which have been ruins for a long time, the images which used to live therein, and established them for permanent sanctuaries. I also gathered all their former inhabitants and returned them to their habitations." This attitude of Cyrus with regard to the conquered peoples was quite different from the cruel and downtrodden domination exercised by many leaders before him. Not much is known about the last years of Cyrus's life. After establishing a vast empire that stretched from Asia Minor to the Middle East, Cyrus encountered challenges and conflicts on his eastern borders. Herodotus wrote that he died in a battle against the Massagetae, a nomadic people who lived beyond the Jaxartes River. The story goes that the queen of these people beheaded Cyrus in revenge for her son's death. Another Persian historian argues that Cyrus was killed while trying to repress a revolt by the Derbises, another nomadic people from Central Asia. These different accounts only add to the mystery surrounding the emperor's death. He was buried in Pasargadae, with his cloak, weapons, and jewels by his side. The tomb of Cyrus was unearthed by archaeologists and is considered an important historical site in Iran to this day. Following Cyrus's death, his son Cambyses II ascended the throne. He went on to conquer and expand the Persian Empire even further, following in his father's footsteps. Therefore, even after his history, Cyrus left a durable legacy that shaped not only the Persian Empire, but also the history of humanity. If you enjoyed learning more about the history of this emperor, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.